reflection. Mama birthed the king, immaculate conception. I survived in the darkness and the shadows of death. And through all that I prospered, they formed every weapon. But I came so thorough, never changed my wardrobe. Took every scar with honor. I was raised in the burrow. Now I'm giving to me from the belly of the beast. I'm just paying respects. I'm just speaking my peace.
What's up, man? It's your boy Quay back with another episode of the Quality Time Podcast. And today's episode, I'm just going to give a little, I just want to give a little feedback, have a little, conversation, if you call it, about, mental health. And this is Mental Health Awareness Month, if you didn't know. And I think for our people in general, mental health is something that we're coming around to, but there's still, a nice amount of us that we listen to that stigma of it, or we've been taught to be so strong on so many levels that is, I don't need mental health, I don't need to go see a psychiatrist, or I'm not crazy. But in actuality, it's not even about any of that. It's literally about just having a conversation, about talking through things, and if things come up, you being open to discuss those things in depth with that person. It's not a judgmental situation. It's really something to help you get stuff off your chest where you may have been used to keeping it bottled up, because that's what we tend to do. We tend to bottle things up, but that leads to those explosions that we have for whatever reason or another. This month is used to try to help break that stigma and those generational curses. And I say that because in our community we've been hearing for a while now, and it's a good thing that we want to break generational curses. But for the most part, I always hear those in relation to financial literacy and money for our children, which is a great thing. But there are way more generational curses than money, and I always try to make sure people know that when I speak. Some of the generational curses that we have, they're long lingering from previous generations and generations before that, and it's been passed down, and we may not know it. It may just be something that we've done second nature. Like conversation wise, two people get into a debate and it automatically escalates to, yelling or, an emotional reaction because somebody feels that they're right and nobody can tell them anything about this situation. But in actuality, you're supposed to be able to hear two sides of a story and either come to an agreement or come to an agreement to disagree. That's just how stuff works. But with the mental health thing, and I'm not a psychiatrist, I'm not a psychologist, I didn't go to school for this, just let me put that out there. But I do pay attention and I understand how things work. And I've had, issues with things that I've had to, literally, sit down and talk with people about, and just to get them off my chest. And at the end of the day, I feel like it was a great thing. And it's something that we should practice, just like, when you work out, you eat healthy. We worry about we will focus on every health that we have except our mental health. And that's the one that's easily, that it takes a toll on, because you think, you're always thinking. You're constantly thinking. Your mind's constantly working. And if we don't address that mental health, just to say, hey, I'm going to exercise my brain, not saying, hey, I think something's wrong with me or something's wrong with my children or something wrong with my parents. It's just, no, I want to exercise my brain. I want to make sure that everything is working properly and everything is good. The same way you go have to get checkups, or you have dental, the same way you should go get your mind checked. Make sure you're just in the right headspace, because we're taught to be so tough and so strong that it's like, oh, it's cool, I get over it, I deal with it, or I bottle it in. And that was something that I was bad for. I'm gonna hold it in, and whenever it came out, however it came out, that's just what it was. But as I got older, I learned that it's not a healthy way to handle relationships with people, relationships with yourself, just life in general is, keeping things bottled up. There had to be some way to get it out. And again, that this is a way to do it, and it's you and just that person, or you and your family and just that person. Everything's confidential. Nobody knows, but there's nothing bad about it. You find out a lot about yourself, about those around you when you do this type of thing, and it can help mend a lot of relationships, a lot of broken relationships, a lot of things that were left unsaid or never said, And we see these traumas in our families, in our neighborhoods. And now that we're older, we can look back and say, yeah, that situation wasn't healthy. But back then it was just frowned upon to say anything about it. You just turn your head, look the other way, which wasn't right. But that's what we were taught. That was one of those generational curses. What happens in this house stays in this house. That's a phrase that I'm pretty sure everybody's heard before. And maybe what happens in this house should be only, to be specific to this house, but maybe this house needs some help from outside to get this house right. And now we're seeing that thing. As we get older and we start to bear our own children, we have to start thinking about other ways of parenting and adulting outside of everything, like everything that was taught to us from school, from the community. It was things that were passed down, but we've seen the effects of certain things, and we're still seeing the effects of certain things that maybe that wasn't the best way to do anything. Maybe that wasn't the best practice. And I think our generation now and the next generation coming up, like that's going to be that big push of, it's cool for me to have someone I talk to. It's cool for me to be able to call my therapist or text my therapist or just pull up on my therapist. We always pull up. We'll pull up anywhere else. Why is it not cool to pull up on our therapist? I think it should be the same type of thing. And I get it. Sometimes it's, well, how do you pay for it or things like that. But I always tell people we make a way to buy anything and pay for anything else that we want or that we feel is important. And this should be the same. If this is important to you, then it should be the same type of approach. It's not outrageously pricey. And I think the benefit of it is something that lasts. It's something that you'll be able to learn from and use. And that's what I think is most important about it. So I wanted to use this podcast to talk about mental health, because I've seen, you see your friends, you see people, and people take their lives, people take other people's lives, and everybody has that look back like, oh man, I wish I would have said something, or I wish I would have seen the signs. And sometimes you don't see the signs because you don't know the signs. That's something you can learn. You can learn the signs of when somebody's having, what's the difference between a bad day or a mental day, a mental breakdown type of situation. It's things that you can observe. I've known people who have committed, suicide, and when you hear about it, you're like, damn, I would have never thought that person, because you didn't know. You didn't know. It's not something you just see, oh yeah, I think this person is or that person is. Nah, it's people can, we were very good at, putting on facades and just, portraying that everything is great. But when you look back, it's like you could see shit that wasn't right. And if we don't address it for us, who is? That's my whole thing. Like, we don't address us and talk about the real shit with us, who is going to talk about the real shit with us? We have to start. Even with our kids, like having your kids sit down with somebody outside of you and the other parents, like that could be a good thing. Like the kids can express themselves to somebody totally free of feeling like there may be scrutiny or something wrong with what they say it, because as great as parents that we want to be and as great as parents that our parents were, like everybody's you're learning how to be a parent. There's no handbook. They're self-help guides and things like that, but there's no handbook to raising your individual child, because every individual child is different. And again, it's not saying that, I keep repeating, it's not saying there's anything wrong. It's just, why would you not want to make sure that you're in the best mental state that you can be every day? In this crazy world that we in, I think that should be like top tier. I mean, a lot of people, again, I don't judge anybody, because I'm not perfect and I never claim to be perfect. But, we mask our issues with alcohol, drugs, marijuana, things like that. But once that stuff wears off, those problems are usually still there. That, like, you can't drink it away. And it'll take an effect on your mental and your body way before that situation, that issue is resolved. We got to learn how to accept, what role we played in things and be accountable at the same time in this. And do these checkups. Yeah, this is Mental Health Awareness Month, but this should be a lifestyle. It should be a lifestyle. Everything that you do should be a lifestyle. You should incorporate your mental health into everything that you do. Even Even if, like, me, I do certain things, when I get up, I always take time to gather my thoughts. I don't call it meditating or whatever. I just take time to gather my thoughts, plan out my day, see how things are going to go. If I hit bumps in the road, I always try to take a step back, relax, walk away from the issue. Sometimes I even just take a nap. But it works. I do what works for me in that situation. If I can talk to somebody, I'll talk to somebody. And one thing that I have learned also is that it doesn't have to always be, for me, it doesn't have to always be a psychiatrist, someone, who's medically or who has been given those credentials. Sometimes me just having a conversation with somebody that I really trust to be true and impartial and give me the straight and narrow, that helps me a lot. Having people like that on your team who will call you on your bullshit or know that you ain't moving right or something's not right, and they'll actually approach you. That's the kind of friends that you want in your circle, or kind of, co-workers or whatever it may be, that can see you and say, well, something's not right. Let me reach out and see if Quay is good. And like, if it's a genuine thing, you could tell, But having those type of people who even care enough to reach out to you, that's a big deal, Because a lot of times we'll go around, again, we'll mask it, and we'll go around like nothing's wrong. And the inside, we burning up and we on fire, and we just waiting to snap, but we don't know when it's gonna happen. That's a mental health situation. You can fix that. You can get that out. You can get that information out. You can sit down with somebody who's gonna really try to help you get to the root of those issues. And it's just a conversation that has to be had. So don't shy away from it. It may not be easy the first time to talk to a complete stranger, because again, we've been taught, don't talk to strangers. Don't tell somebody that you don't know your business. How are they going to help us? But they can help. They can help. I would much rather encourage someone to go talk to somebody that you don't know who is licensed to practice in this field than to say, hey man, take the shot, or hey man, you want to do this or what? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's cool to try to get your mind off of it, but at some point in time, it's gonna stay back. It's gonna get back on your mind. You're gonna think about it again. And me as a friend, if I had a friend who was going through something, am I gonna keep trying to get your mind off of it and say, man, you'll be all right or whatever? Because yeah, we're resilient. We're resilient as hell as a people. That's what we are. But if I really care about you and I fuck with you, I want your mental to be good. So if I can point you in the right direction to somebody who's better equipped than me, I'd rather do that. Because I care and I really want to see you win. I want to see you thrive. I want to see everybody thrive. So this is why I had to do this podcast, and I took a mental health break this weekend, so I wasn't even going to drop an episode, but I had to do it because it was on my mind. But I took a mental health break this weekend. I went to the beach, got away, alone and chill, listened to the ocean, looked at the waves, got my feet wet a little bit. I don't really play around with the water, so got my feet wet a little bit. But it was just relaxing, just to sit back, take in some fresh air, write down some thoughts, write down some ideas for the podcast, things like that. And that's things that I've learned. Sometimes you got to take that time. Like every time not a time to, hey, I'm finna just go out and get loose and party. That's cool. I'm not telling nobody not to do that, because I do that. Sometimes that helps your mental too. Like, I just need to get out and relax because I'm straight, but I just want to, release some energy. That's cool. But sometimes you have to take those times to sit back, gather yourself, compose yourself, and know, all right, things been a little off. My equilibrium ain't been right a little bit. So let me try to recenter and refocus. And I was down there for 3 days, and it was great. And people would say, what did you do? I didn't really do nothing. I seen some family down there, took in some sights or whatever, but I really just relaxed and kicked my feet up and just looked out the window and looked at the ocean. It felt great, So things like that you got to do sometimes for yourself, whatever it may be, to recenter and refocus. Do that as well, And I speak to my generation because that's who I am. This is something that our parents aren't used to. They're not used to these discussions. They're not used to having that, that person who comes in and kind of not intrusive, but is trying to get to the root of situations that may come up. But introduce your parents to this type of thing. It could do wonders, because if we see what we see now, off the just through, how we're treated in society as black people. Imagine, 50 years ago, 40 years ago, your grandparents, 70, 80 years ago, imagine how they felt it, and it was right up in their face, Yeah, we see it on camera, but it was way, like the prevalence of it in the communities, like walking outside, walking down the street was dangerous. Like you couldn't even do it some places. And you can sit down with your grandparents and they can tell you these stories, and your parents and they can tell you these stories. That's trauma. No, like feeling that something can happen, or them looking back on their childhood and seeing how things were done and how treatment happened with them and their siblings and their parents and their grandparents. That's trauma that we've endured, because again, I say we are resilient people. That's one of the character traits about us that I love the most. We are a resilient people. Ain't shit gonna break us. Because we survived the impossible. We still surviving the impossible every day, and we're trying to make it better. So bring it, introduce it to your parents. It may be a struggle, but if they know it's for the best interest, then they'll listen. And if not, at least I tried. I attempted to make this situation, an open dialogue type of situation about this. And for your kids, get them involved in that early. Like again, it should be if you can sign your kids up for sports, and basketball is swimming, baseball, soccer, and they can get out here and be physical and they go to school and all this. The only time they sit down and talk with people is if something bad happened. That shouldn't be the way it go. Excuse me. It shouldn't be that way. We had guidance counselors my whole life. I don't remember sitting down with guidance counselors except maybe one time to discuss college. That was my senior year, junior year. I don't get that. You should be able to do it, and I feel like it should be things that are offered. Like this stuff should be offered in school. Like kids should be able to, if a kid is having a bad day, they should be able to go down to these counselors, these real legit licensed counselors, and talk about it. Not just get sent to ISS and sent home and suspended. Like kids get suspended so frequent, man, especially in our communities. Like they get suspended for the stupidest shit. Like how is that? Like we want kids to learn. Every kid isn't a bad apple. Like every child isn't bad. Sometimes it's just the situation that they're trying to process and they don't know how. Our job as adults and leaders and teachers and staff members are to help them through that. They should be able to talk about these situations. Somebody should have the expertise to say, I understand what's going on, or we know how we can get through to this person, or we can talk to this child. Not just, hey, go to ISS for the rest of the day and don't do nothing, don't get anything, nothing benefits from this except now you're being detained like a prisoner. It doesn't make sense to me. It doesn't. Again, every situation isn't the same, and some things are extreme, but it doesn't make sense to me. And I wanted to be, that gap of, our generation, our children, the generation, between us, the generation after us. I want everybody's, generations to understand we're growing, we're still healing. A lot of time, and I see cliches, let that hurt go heal. Like it's cliche to say, it sounds fun, it's social media, but that shit is real. Like relationships as well, like shit hurts. People get hurt. Our feelings are fragile. People can say they not. Everybody's cold blooded, and everybody got a part of them where their feelings are fragile. Even me, like I try not to let a lot of stuff get to me, but I got everybody. At the end of the day, you're a human being. You got feelings. And if your feelings get hurt, sometimes you lash out. Sometimes you close down. Sometimes it's not always an easy solution to get over that shit. So you can work on that. Like everything that comes up in your daily life, work, stress on work, you know what I mean? Like some of these jobs, they demand so much of you, and you feel like you busting your ass and you barely getting paid, or if you make the wrong mistake, they'll let you go after you done give them all these years of your life. Like all these little things, man, stress. Like that's stuff you can sit down and actually get off your chest and work out, ways to deal with these things and how to handle that. Like I get it, everybody has their own methods. But a lot of times the methods, they only involve you. And when you're going through a lot of stuff like this, a lot of times the people around you, they get backlash from it just as well, because they don't know what's going on and they're not being allowed in. So we have to always try to remember, like, I'm, as a man that I am, and the role I play in my family, if my mental's not good, how am I going to be beneficial to those around me? How am I going to be beneficial at work, to my family, to my son? How am I going to do that effectively when I'm not even 100% mentally well? That's the disservice to them, and that's not fair. I should try to be in tip-top shape, the same way that we try to be in tip-top shape, physically. The same way we try to make sure we're financially responsible and building that generational wealth that we talk about. We gotta break those generational curses of mental health being frowned upon and stigmatized, because it's not. Everybody else gets it and it's a normal thing. But when we think about it, it's, I don't have to talk to nobody, I don't want to talk to nobody. It always feel like a negative, and it should be a positive thing. It should be like, yo, I'm about to go see my therapist, I'll holler at you in about an hour. Finna go, you know what I'm saying? Like, if we make everything else cool, we control that. So we got to make this cool too, and that's a mission. That's a mission of mine, and I want to play a role in helping that. I'm gonna speak about that. I'm trying to line some things up to have somebody come in and speak to that this month about it, who has a lot more knowledge and understanding than I do. But as someone who is observant and I that really loves our community, I had to say this. Like, we gotta take care of us, because as we've learned, nobody else gonna take care of us. So we gotta take care of us. Like, there's a bunch of dope African American therapists out here that are really here for the culture and for the team. It's dope. And they're giving advice online, on social media, and why not take it? We'll post a caption from somebody else, somebody famous, who just posting something for likes or whatever, or because it sound cool, but we won't post something that somebody's saying about your mental health. And I don't understand that. Like, and again, it took me a while to get to this point, but why would I not convey that same information? If it's a benefit to it, to my people, I gotta put that out there. We gotta help us. We gotta make us better. We gotta heal us. We gotta be real with that. We gotta really be, and we gotta be very, very particular about the healing process. We can't just say, oh, I went a couple times, I'm good, or don't really let out the information. That's not right. Like, we dealing with shit. Everybody dealing with shit, because we've been through shit. And we've been traumatized, through our roots, that we ain't got no choice. We come from slavery. That don't just disappear. It don't. But we got to continue to help build it, so generations down the line, that they're understanding. All right, as soon as I get situated, let me go holler at my therapist to make sure I'm good. Let me check in. Let me have a conversation. Just let me go chill and kick it, because something right or something wrong. Let me have this conversation so I can bounce these ideas and these feelings off of somebody who don't know me. Because we can talk to our friends, and it's cool to talk to your friends as long as your friends gonna keep it a buck. They gonna keep it a band. But a lot of times our friends gonna take our side, and we know how to get down. Ain't nobody gotta sugarcoat it. Your friends gonna rock with you because of that love, man, that loyalty that lies between y'all. But that person that don't know you, they gonna tell you when you wrong. They gonna tell you about yourself, and that's what we need to hear sometimes. We need to hear the good. We need to hear the bad. It ain't gonna always be bad, but we need to hear when it is. We can't just say, "Oh, nah, that's not it." And we know the type of traumas that have gone on in black households. I ain't gotta say it, but we know the type of trauma that's going on now. You know what I'm saying? Like, men and women alike. We see what's going on with our black queens and our daughters out here, and our sisters and our moms. Like, every time they see that happen to another one, that's trauma. Every time we see another black man get killed, that's trauma. And again, like, I know it's, at some point it's like, damn, man, I've seen it so much. It's normal, but it ain't normal. It's trauma. And that's stuff that we gotta fix. We gotta be able to express that. We gotta be able to say how it made us feel and why it made us feel this way. For every situation. Every situation. We gotta understand. We gotta understand relationships. If you you marry, dating, whatever the case may be. If it's a serious relationship, go sit down with somebody and talk about that. Don't wait for it to get too bad, because then it's too late. It's too late at that point. And I can tell you that from experience. That's once you do it, once you wait, it's too late. Now I'm at the point now where if I feel like if Quay feel like I'm about to like really be in something where I feel like this might be the one, we gotta go sit down with somebody ASAP. Cause we gotta start early now, man. Cause I don't want to deal with that same trauma no more, and I don't want somebody else to deal with that same trauma on account of me. I'd rather us talk about this immediately, get everything out in the open. Everything's cool in the puppy love stage, but when shit hit the fan and shit get real, how we gonna rock then? How we gonna communicate then? My men, my black men, my brothers, my dogs, y'all know how I get down. We ain't all gravy. We do some fucked up shit to these women, and then we expect them not to do anything bad. We expect them not to feel away. That's insanity. You do some fucked up shit, you should expect some fucked up shit in return. That's how I look at life. But we do some fucked up shit as men. We gotta own that, and we gotta start getting to the deeper root of that. And that's just how it is. Women, same thing. I don't hold no punches. It ain't always just us. Accountability is a word that's the most, in my opinion, is the most overlooked word in the English language. Some of the accountability got to get put on self, just like I got to put it on myself, and men got to put it on themselves. Women, we need that same thing in return, so we can really get to the root of the issues. We can't do this pointing the finger. I hate seeing black men and black women point the finger. I hate it. I hate seeing when a black woman gives a black man some real legit 100 advice. He don't know how to internalize it, so he lash out, and vice versa. If a black man give a black woman advice, or something that a black man may have an understanding of, if the woman don't agree, I've seen backlash in that situation too. Like, we not gonna get nowhere with pointing the finger. We got enough motherfuckers to point the finger as it is. We can't point the finger at ourselves. We gotta learn how to deal with this. We gotta learn how to talk this out and listen. Let somebody understand what we going through. That's what's gonna get us through. Because right now, like, it ain't y'all see it. Y'all see the same social media I see, man. The beef is at an all-time high, and I don't understand it. I don't understand it, man. And I love black women. I love my black brothers. I love us as a people. We the dopest motherfuckers on this planet, and that's how it's gonna be. But we can't continue to be angry at each other, because those are those curses that I was saying, those generational curses. These kids see us angry at each other, they gonna be angry at each other. They ain't gonna just say, oh, well, that was, they gonna say that was them. There was a reason why. So if my daddy was mad and my mama was mad, well, I'm gonna be mad like my daddy was or like my mama was. And now we passing that generational curse down. We can't be breaking curses and making curses. That shit don't add up. We really gotta do this shit for the right reasons. When you wrong, you wrong. You gotta accept it. Take it on the chin. And that's something we gotta work on. I fucked up, I gotta accept it. I gotta stand on that fuck up the same way I would stand on if I was right. And that go for everybody. We gotta keep this shit 100. But we gotta make sure we good up here. This is where it start. You can have a great heart, but if you ain't right up here, it ain't gonna equal out. If you taking all this energy in, man, from other people, and they pulling at you, and you don't know which way is what, and you trying to do right, and you trying to hold the stuff in like that ain't how it go. Like, we gotta be pure about this. We gotta be clean. We gotta make sure that we mentally ready to participate in everything. If you ain't ready to do something, it's okay to say no. It's okay to say no. It's okay to cut off your phone, ignore people, whatever you got to do to make sure you mentally good, you do that. Nobody can't hold you more accountable for your mental than you. Unless it's emergency, man, they'll be all right. They'll be all right. If they ain't dying, they will be all right. But you got to make sure you good first. We got to make sure we good. You got to make sure your people's good. Your mom, your dad, your aunts, uncles, your brothers, your sisters, your nieces, your nephew, your kids, man, your kids. If you don't want to do this for nobody else, man, if you got kids, make sure you do this for your kids, man, because this can benefit your kids. Seeing, damn, my daddy, he going through something, but he's working his situation now. He's going to go get that help that he can't provide for himself or nobody else can provide. That mean a lot for your kids to see you actually handling business. Money gonna come, man. We can't. I hate the fact that a lot of things that we do, we base it off, well, I got money, I'm good. A lot of people got money. A lot of people with money kill themselves. They blow their brains out. You know what I'm saying? They overdose on drugs. We see it. Money don't change. Money don't change this. Money don't change this. It change this. It don't change this. We gotta fix us. We gotta work on us, man. And I know I ain't I ain't got the credentials or none of that, but I got the love for the people, and I think that go a long way. You know what I'm saying? I'm always gonna stand on that. I'm always gonna stand on that love and loyalty. I'm always gonna stand on that for my people, man. So y'all get used to that, because that's what it's all about. We ain't got that, we ain't got nothing. You know what I'm saying? You can't buy my respect. You can't like, that ain't gonna work. Nobody, like, money don't change how I look at stuff and how I think. It shouldn't change how you look at stuff and how you think. It always got to be right. It always got to be the right way to do stuff, man. So we got to always make sure we put that mental health first. Again, man, this is Mental Health Awareness Month. You know, if you want to do some more research, do some more research on this. You know what I'm saying? Google is your friend. If you have something you need to get off your chest, you know, reach out to, you know, somebody who can provide those services. Even if you got to hit me up, man, on any social, man. Y'all know how to find me at Isquado on any social, man. ITSQUADOE. And you know what I'm saying, I can try to point you in the right direction for that if that's what you need. But we got to make sure we take as much care up here as we do everything else. You can eat clean, you can work out, and if this up here is cloudy, then what are you really doing? That's hustling backwards. Everything, it's a machine. It gotta fall in line. It gotta work the same. So that's what we gotta do. I'd like to thank y'all for, you know, tuning in to this episode, man, the Quality Time Podcast. I hope it really resonate, hit home, because it should. It has to. For us to continue to go in the direction that we're going, we got to continue to work on our mental health. So I appreciate y'all for tuning in. As always, follow me next week. Like, subscribe, share the pod, and appreciate y'all. Love y'all.
Immaculate conception, I survived in the darkness and the shadows of death. And through all that I prospered. They formed every weapon, but I came so thorough. Never changed my wardrobe, took every